Okay, we're here today with Maria Power, or Empower.
Yes.
And she's the founder of the website coachingwithsubstance.org.au, which is a charity organization. It's a multi-award winning charity organization in Australia. Not only that, she's also a best-selling author, and the book is called Kill Your Addiction Before It Kills You. Before we talk about your coaching and everything you've done in the coaching world, I want people to know first who you were before and how you got into it. And I think this is going to be an important story because when you talk about addiction, a lot of people would not even be open to admitting it.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. You know what? There's what you call the 12 steps. It's the Alcoholics Anonymous, the Narcotics Anonymous. There's a movement, and it's quite big. And the first step is admitting that you have a problem. And many people in the rooms, before they even get there, they have to reach what you call a rock bottom. And the rock bottom, for me, I spoke about it in my book. There's many rock bottom moments, and just from the beginning until the very last time that I did meth and coke and alcohol and all of the toxic substances, in 2013, February 14 was when I started to quit all of the substances, because you can't quit it all at once. But I had to come to a point where, you know, psychiatric institutionalization. I was actually hospitalized here in the Philippines.
Oh.
Twice. 3 times.
All right.
Yep, in Mandaluyong twice, and in Green Hills, San Juan, somewhere there. God, I'm so far gone, I don't even remember the name of the hospital, but I can look up my records. I haven't written a book about that. But yeah, 3 times in the Philippines, 1 time in the US, 1 time in Japan, and the rest in Australia.
Wow, so several times.
10 times.
10 times, sorry. How long were you addicted?
From 13 to about 36,
23, 13 to 20, 13 to 36.
Yes.
So 23 years.
23 years. There you
23 years you were addicted to...
In active addiction, full-blown. Yes, it's in and out, but it's in one addiction and then out of the other one to replace with another one, and then put another one on top of it. And it was just a very tumultuous, very big and real struggle. Struggle to keep pushing down the pain that I was feeling in every single wrong decision that I made in my life. Lacking parenting. I've been on my own since I was 13, pretty much. I went to Australia at 11 years old on my own in a plane. So that really, incapacitated me to know where I was at, and then not being raised right in the Philippines, being raised in poverty, you know, almost. Well, yeah. Pretty much, and then going to Australia on my own, having to make my own decisions from 11 onwards. Right.
So you were. Can you just like expound on what are all the drugs that you've tried?
What are all the drugs?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
If you could try, because
yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I've never tried any drugs.
Okay.
And I will never even imagine to try to understand what you went through. So I would love to. For the people that are watching this, some of them could be addicted to something or have been trying something, and I'd love to be able to get your perspective if we can reach out to them. So what would, just out of curiosity.
So when you start doing, alcohol is one of the most addictive substances, and then cocaine. So cocaine is usually what people do when they're on stage, actors, people that make a lot of big, quick decisions. You know, it helps make you feel more confident and more at ease with yourself. It's the rich man's kind of drug of choice.
Okay.
Right? Ecstasy is what people use when they do raves. So when you go to these dance parties, these hip-hop concerts, or this techno concerts or things like that. Now, you go into marijuana, I didn't really get into it that much, but I was around people that were doing it a lot. I'll have a toke here and there, but wasn't my drug of choice.
Right.
Right. And then methamphetamine is really my drug of choice. That was, which is shabu, which is the whole. Yeah.
What does that do?
What that does is like a culmination of ecstasy and cocaine, and it activates a part of your mind that is like limitless in its scope. It really makes you more open to your genius, but the negative and the detrimental effects is so far into your organs, so it really ruins every single part of your physiology.
Wow.
From your vision, erodes your brain circuitry, and then your throat, because they make it with rat poison, they make it with oven cleaner.
So you've tried all of those?
I've tried all of those, and then the legals is, you know, smoking cigarettes and also medication, which is pharmacological drugs, especially the likes of Valium and opiates.
So,
and so they're
so people can get
barbiturates.
addicted to Valium.
Yes, very much so. There's an opioid and addictive kind of medication epidemic in the U.S. at the moment, where it's very big, because you actually get tissue dependence, which means you get the shakes, and your tissue needs it to otherwise it just feels like you're just like your body is just like,
right.
That's why when you see someone coming down from heroin, I've not tried heroin, thank God, but it doesn't matter. Everything else that I did was pretty much in a bad way. But with opiates, which is the derivative of heroin, kind of coming from that opioid family, people are always like, when they're coming down in withdrawal, they're always just like crunched over, because their tissues, their very skin needs it.
What was that pain that you were trying to escape from?
Lack of a father figure. Lack of a father figure. There you go.
Okay.
And poverty.
The drugs, how did you get into it? Like at 13?
Yeah. Well, because I was passed around. I was passed around in the Philippines to all the brothers and sisters. My mom left my dad, and I really, really loved her, and I really missed her. So everything is always falling apart in front of me in that first 7 years, you know.
Yep.
And so there's no stability there. So the drugs is just a natural kind of occurrence from the turmoil that's going underneath the surface of a youth, of a child that doesn't know what's going on.
I'd say you're one of the few that were lucky.
Very.
Yeah. That you even made it this far, right?
Oh, dead, broke, or yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Okay, so, and then you mentioned that you also had bouts of depression, bipolar,
schizophrenia form disorder. Yep. So I was doing so mood stabilizers was a mainstay in my life from 23 onwards, when I first had my psychiatric stint in Australia, and what was it? Psychotropics or antipsychotic drugs. I had to take that to just all the brain circuitry to kind of even it all out. And but all these things are addictive.
Yes.
But the doctors will actually tell you, because they're getting benefits from this, that you need it.
Yeah, you know, I have this thing about like how doctors treat, especially psychological problems, where you say you're depressed, here's a drug.
Yes.
Oh, you're bipolar, here's another drug. Versus asking what is the root of the problem and fixing it at the root, they'll just give you the relief of giving you the drugs. Now, I'm not saying that it's completely wrong, I guess, because I mean there are certain instances where you do need it.
Yes.
Maybe because you're not strong enough to be able to deal with it.
Definitely.
But in most cases, to be able to really truly heal yourself, you must start with what you have already in you, which is here.
Yes.
And here.
Yes.
And supporting yourself with a lot of love and nurturing, that actually will help you.
Definitely.
Right?
And that's what I've learned now, that it took me so long to stabilize within myself this healing power of what you're saying.
Right.
But I didn't have that. I didn't know about that.
Right.
I looked at families, and I was always at the outskirts going, wow, I don't know that dynamics. What's happening there?
Yeah,
Oh my
okay.
God, they're getting nurtured. She cried, and someone went to her and said, oh, it's going to be okay. And then that's like pretty powerful to
Right.
see that in front of you and have it like a mythical thing,
That
like a
you will
mirage.
never, right, that you can never have.
Never.
Right.
Never. So that's the inner child work that I had to do and go within to kind of rise from the ashes from.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's very tough. Just the fact that where you are, where you're at now from where you started, I congratulate you, because that takes a lot of strength.
A lot of effort.
Yeah,
A lot
that-
of inner work.
A lot of inner work,
a lot
because
of meditation.
yeah. When did you get to the point of suicide? The first time.
The first time was my second psychiatric stint. So the first time was a shock to my system. It's like someone put my head in water. I was in this room and I was so angry at everyone. You know, they couldn't even open the door. They had to tie me, tape my mouth, and they couldn't touch me. There was a shock in my system. I was there for 3 months in this room.
Okay.
And I was like journaling and doing all these journals, which I have a record of, because in Australia you can get a record of all of your medical records. So I'm reading through it, all this turmoil's happening, and my journaling was God is good. I'm like, what a disjointed mind. It's like a beautiful mind, you know. What
Yeah.
I'm feeling and seeing is totally different to what I'm writing.
When did you get to the point of suicide?
So after the first one, I got back home, and the thoughts of paranoia and the persistent thoughts of me being so broken was really bad. So when they were going to bring me to the hospital the second time, I didn't want to go. And then I told my mom, just go to the shop. I'm going to be all right, you know, because they knew something was up, right? So she went to the shop, and then she said she felt something, and she came back to the house, and I drank all of my medication. Yeah.
So you overdosed.
Yes. So I.
How close were you to?
So when I got to the hospital, my heart stopped for more than a minute, and yeah. So
What was the last thing you remembered after you overdosed?
I actually had a trip, and I saw St. Peter, and then he showed me a couple of key things that I needed to learn, and he said, you got to go back, because there's still more. You're still going to go through quite a lot of these experiences until you learn, because there's a lot of unlearning and undoing, and there is a big future that you will have, but you're a bit of a long way from
Right.
it. I was 23 at that time, but you're going to get a second chance. You know, you're going to have a few chances, but you know, you're going to get a second chance. Try and see if you can clean up.
Right.
You know?
How long was that, like, that experience?
That
you had?
experience was like a long time. I felt like I was there for a long time, but it was a minute and a bit.
When was that moment of transformation?
There's not one moment. There never really is one
Ah.
moment. It's always a combination of getting the knowledge and the practical and the theory, perfecting that, taking it to the next stage. And then with that, taking it to the next stage. It's never one moment.
So just for everyone's benefit, so that if you're ever going through this, right?
Yes.
It is something that goes up and down, forward and back, But every time you go forward and back, it's always as long as it's still 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or sometimes it could be 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
You can definitely do that. If there is active addiction involved, it's always going to be backwards.
All right, so now we're here today. You are now a certified life coach
Yes.
with ICF, which is the same course that I took.
Yes.
I think the advantage that you have over the other coaches, and especially in this field, is that you come from a place where you can relate to them.
Definitely. So that's why I'm only going with addiction and mental health issues that stems from addiction.
Right. And this book that you wrote, Kill Your Addiction Before It Kills You, when did you write that?
I wrote that in 2013 at the tail end of, so February 14, 2013 is when I started to drop shabu and illicits, code ecstasy. And then I did an upward climb of dropping medication, sleeping pills, smoking, and alcohol.
And you did that all on your own, or you did seek help?
Yeah, Monk Zhu was the one that helped me. He's a Taoist master, and he's a monk, and he helped me with meditation, breathing, day-to-day management without hair. I shaved my head, because that was my demon, my ego.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Your demon, your ego is your demon.
Yes.
Explain that a little bit.
Well, ego is the first part. I had many. Pride was my biggest demon, because I didn't want to seek help. Kind of. I didn't want to show my deepest and darkest while it's showing. So I'll show something else to kind of hide this part, and then I'll show something else to kind of hide the other part. And it's a lot of manipulative exercises that I play to keep denying what's really going on, So, and for me, and what he said to me, which I didn't realize at that time, was, but your hair has a lot of molecules, and hair has a lot of memories embedded in it. So the shaving of it drops that first level of intrusion, where it's kind of going like this, ruminating around my head. Yes. So without him saying those physical words of shave your head, I shaved my head.
That's interesting. I almost want to shave my head right now. I'm not kidding. I'm actually like, that's interesting. Huh? People look at ego as a protective barrier as well.
Yeah.
It protects you.
Of course.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent. But if it's running you, if it's running the show,
right,
it can't really protect you.
When do you know when it's running the show versus when it's protecting you?
Because when you look at what the ego, well, if you're in denial about it, if the ego is working for you, for example, my book, I wrote that it's working for me because it is it is giving people an understanding of my experience, and it's showcasing what I've learned so that other people can hopefully learn from it. So is that ego or not ego? I think not.
Right,
because
right.
I didn't write it for that.
Right.
I didn't write it for people to look at me and adore me and be inspired by me. I did it while I was in the tail end of my metamorphosis in such a painful part where while I was writing it, I was crying and going, oh my God, what have I done to my life?
And I think the key thing with that, when you said, is when it's coming from a place of authenticity. And that's your most vulnerable self that wrote it. Therefore, it's not your ego, because your ego would protect you from that and say, don't say that, don't talk about that.
Always.
Right, that's the
everyone
ego.
Around me was saying, don't do that. My mom, my dad, my whole family, I'm writing this, and they're like, no. And only Monk was saying,
yeah, that's
you gotta
amazing.
Write it. Because if you don't write it, you are going to be blackmailed to the end of time.
Yep.
By your mind.
Right. You're right. Because it's trying to protect you, or at least it seems like it's trying to protect you from what it seems to be the dangers of exposing that side of you.
That's right.
Versus just realizing that in that vulnerability, in that moment, is actually what will save you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so too bad the book isn't available here. Will it be available here in the Philippines?
It will be. So I'll be moving back to the Philippines in May, and that's when I'll make all of the movements to happen so that a movie can be made about it, so that I can do the audio book about it, so that it can be available.
Okay, and you have coaching programs that help people with addiction.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This is not the same as going into rehab.
Not at all.
This is something that complements it.
Yes.
Right? It goes with it. Not as a replacement for it, but it goes with it.
If you have an alcohol and drug or a recovery coach, let's call it, that's what I call it, then I work with your family. I work with a family reunification. I work with your social structure, what meetings you need to attend, what is in your geographical location that you need to connect with and to take care of your body,
Right.
take care of your mind, take care of your heart, take care of your relationships, take care of your spiritual activation and things like that.
Okay. So, for the people that are watching that maybe they have somebody that is going through an addiction in their family,
Yes.
or maybe their close circle of friends,
Yes.
what would you advise that should they be also a part of that program?
Yeah, definitely. There's an 8-week breakthrough incubator program that we have. It's online, so anyone can access it in any country. So there's a curriculum, there's 46 videos, there's webinars that they get me live twice a week, in the beginning of the week, at the end of the week.
So for people that are interested in doing any kind of work with you to be able to help either themselves or family members that they have, how do they reach you at this point?
At this point, reach me at coachingwithsubstance.org.au. That's my charity's website. And then if they really want to connect with me, I'm pretty full on Facebook already, but I'll drop people in just to put people, I'll block
You have a
or
fan
do.
page?
Yes, so Addiction Coach, facebook.com/addiction coach. But I've got lots of pages and groups because I connect people together with
Right.
the cohorts and things like that. So I've got a domestic violence group, a bipolar, anxiety and depression Facebook group, and Facebook pages that are
Right.
specific to problems.
But the
Yeah.
best way to reach you would be through
Through
your website,
yes, coachingwithsubstance.org.au or on Facebook.
on Facebook.
Yeah, Coach Maria Power.
Yeah.
I'm just changing it to Power so that I'm Coach Empower, and when I become a
Empower.
doctor, Dr. Empower.
Right, Dr. Empower. Wow, you sound like a superhero. I love it.
Well, that's what I feel like. That's what I work from. That's how I work. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Maria, for your time.
Thank
and
you.
guys, catch her and online, and also check out her book when it comes out in May. And when she comes to the Philippines, you'll be able to get a chance to meet her in person.
Yes.
All right.
Definitely. Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you so much. All right, I appreciate your time.
Yay.
Okay. Superhero, I love it.
Well, that's what I feel like. That's what I work from. That's how I work. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Maria, for your time.
Thank
and guys, catch her and online, and also check out her book when it comes out in May. And when she comes to the Philippines, you'll be able to get a chance to meet her in person.
Yes.
All right.
Definitely. Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you so much. All right, I appreciate your time.
Yay.
Okay.